If you'd like to see Laura's full interview, watch it on the Our Land YouTube page. Now, welcome back to the Line panel for our final topic. State lawmakers say they're considering raising taxes on alcohol in the upcoming session. In an update to their recent series, Blind Drunk, New Mexico In Depth is reporting several influential state lawmakers are open to the idea of raising alcohol taxes. Among them, Representative Patty Lundstrom and State Senator George Munoz of Gallup and Senate President Pro Tem Mimi Stewart. Now, raising alcohol taxes have been proven to lower alcohol-related deaths, but when it comes to voters, many may say, well, that won't impact me, but higher prices will. Now, Senator, I want to start with you on this. Will lawmakers stand behind this if there's any resistance from voters, or are the numbers just that clear when it comes to taxes and alcohol use that it's just going to win the day there? What's your sense of it early on here?
Well, I think the polling data shows that voters do support increased taxes on alcohol. Mm-hmm. And in McKinley County, they have already voted with their feet, and there is a local option tax on alcohol, which goes directly into DWI councils, right, and drug prevention programs there where they have a very big problem. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be a very tough road in the New Mexico legislature, and I don't know how tough or soft the support is from the finance chairs, okay, coming from Gallup. And I think, though, we are long overdue for a reform. Taxes on alcohol are cheap, and buying a drink of beer, wine, or a mixed drink is cheaper now than it's ever been. Yep. When it comes to the taxes. But the entrenched interests in the legislature are severe. And Cisco McSorley found that out in 2017. There have been countless attempts to do this in the past. Mm-hmm. None of them really successful since the crisis in the early 1990s with Nadine Milford and that horrific crash. That's when we had a big wave of reform where the blood alcohol level was set at 0.08, mm-hmm, and when taxes were raised at that time a very little bit, and they set a real minefield because when they set the tax rate, it was based not on the price, but on the volume of the drink. That's right. Which meant that, it really hasn't risen since 1994, despite the inflationary costs that have happened but the alcohol industry, one of the most powerful in the state. We talk a lot about oil and gas, mm-hmm, but remember the restaurant industry, the tourism industry, the convenience store industry, which incidentally includes a lot of the oil companies like Marathon and Bolin. Mm-hmm. These are people that are there to bar the door. And also the warm and fuzzier industries, the wineries, the breweries, things that we are counting on to increase economic development. They're there to bar the door. So it's a very difficult thing, a very worthy thing, though, because New Mexico taxpayers are already paying.
That's brilliantly laid out. The nature of the wall that must be hurdled. And Martha, interestingly, one anecdote here, if we were to raise taxes, that would mean more state revenue, of course. About half of the money generated from alcohol taxes goes towards the state's general fund. Where should we use the new money if taxes are raised? Like Senator just mentioned, for help with folks who are struggling with alcohol, or just some slush fund, or what's the best way to handle this revenue?
Well, Didi may disagree, but maybe the general fund is sort of a slush fund. Right. I do think that it should go into alcohol rehab. We do have a huge problem in the state, and by the way, the research shows that it's not all Gallup, it's not all our Native American population.
Thank you.
It is everybody.
Yep.
And right now, the structure is, as Didi said, it's taxed by volume. and not by the retail price. That makes it regressive, a very regressive tax. And I think that could be the first thing. This legislature could say, well, we're really not raising the tax, we're just shifting it a bit. Right. And we're going to shift it over to the retail price. But I think that the money probably should not go into the general fund. We know we've got a problem, one of the biggest problems in the United States. So the tax ought to go to remedy that problem. Mm-hmm. Let me say a little bit else about that, though. We have our alcohol drunk limit, if you will, to use a colloquial term, is 0.08 is the legal limit in the state. Mm-hmm. We need to lower that. Okay. In most states, it's 0.05, and that way I think we have some people would be a lot more careful about how much they drink in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Merritt, I got a quote here from Jason Harper. Quote, as a fiscal conservative, I can accept and support additional taxation that addresses that social ill. But where I cross the line is now let's use the tax code to discourage people from using that product, end quote. Has he just missed the point here? I mean, that's the point, is to discourage people from using the product.
Well, I don't like sin taxes either. I mean, and that seems to be the only fix anybody has is let's just raise taxes. You know, we've done this with cigarettes and people still smoke. I think the only way a tax increase is justified is all the money has to go into behavioral health. Okay. And we also, though, have to look at separate legislation and create new programs to address our behavioral health and rehab. We also have to look at public intoxication in addition to driving while intoxicated, driving under the influence. That's only part of it. Right. And that's a huge problem we see with the homeless explosion in our urban areas and in our state. Mm-hmm. It's not just drugs, it's alcohol. Yep. And treatment and intervention and public intoxication, we need to not just offer treatment and get people into treatment. We also need to, uphold some of our anti-vagrancy, whatever you want to call it, our laws that you can't be in the park after 10 o'clock. You have to be out of public. You shouldn't be publicly intoxicated. We have to enforce our laws.
Mary, I got a question for you, just because we're a little crunchy on time here, and hopefully Senator can get in on this too. But the public's looking to the legislature for some guidance on this, but alcohol is the place is just besotted with alcohol sometimes during this session. I mean, are these the right people to be making these decisions? I mean,
Senator Ivy Soto, certainly, he, when questioned, it's come up in his accusers that he keeps a wine refrigerator in his Senate office. And when questioned about it, he admitted in an interview he thinks it brings a more collegial tone to his meetings. I would prefer that our legislators not be drinking while they set policy.
Mm-hmm. Senator, can I get your thought on that too?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's obvious. That's really obvious. But when you have a liquor lobby that supplies free liquor to the legislators, right, it's hard to turn down. And the result is that we're paying, as taxpayers are paying the bill even more so with the reluctance to address behavioral health problems and spend money on those. I mean, the whole thing about this issue, I get tired of people saying that they're opposed to sin taxes. Sin taxes work. The rate of smoking amongst adolescents has gone down when we
it's also banned. You can't smoke if you're under 18. You can't buy them. That's more than a sin tax.
Yes, but that, as you said, that has not been enforced. And many parents condone their children smoking. Mm-hmm. But the point is, taxpayers are already paying the bill for the damages of alcohol. Good point. Not just in terms of traffic fatalities, but in terms of cirrhosis of the liver, yep, amongst Medicaid patients, Who's paying for that?
That's right.
We're paying for that.
Got to stop you there, Senator. Sorry, we're just a little short on time there. That series, Blind Drunk from New Mexico In Depth, I encourage folks to read it. It's 7 parts. I mean, this is in depth as you can possibly get. All right, thanks again to the Line panel. Now, last month we hosted a panel discussion about our state's extraordinary alcohol-related death rate, as I just mentioned. But during that discussion, journalist Ted Alcorn, 2 doctors, and State Representative Joanne Ferrari highlighted the proven effectiveness of higher alcohol taxes. You can watch that entire discussion online on our New Mexico in Focus YouTube page, or listen back on August 22nd episode of New Mexico in Focus, the podcast. Now, as always, be sure to let us know what you think about any of the topics the Line covered on our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram pages. And catch any episodes you may have missed on the PBS Video app or your Roku or Smart TV.